Mark Sylvester, Steve Moser for the police, Justin Richards, law director. And like I said, I can't see everybody. Who else is out there? Samantha Walters. Samantha Walters, David Maley. Anyone else? Okay. Under number 5 on the agenda is where anyone from the audience may speak on any topic that does appear on tonight's agenda. And then again, under number 17 is where the public can speak on any item that does not appear on tonight's agenda. I want to remind anyone with a cell phone to please Diane?
Yes, ma'am.
Roll call.
Kramer?
Present.
Greg? Halter? Here. Arncade?
Here.
Lewis?
Present.
Whitman?
Here.
Lombardi?
Here.
Garrett?
Here.
And Barrett.
I'm here.
Roll call of 8 present.
Diane, I'm here now. Hi, Greg.
Oh, okay. Correction, roll call of 9 present.
And I didn't hear Nancy Halter either.
Nancy's here with me.
Okay, thank you. All present accounted for. Councilwoman Kramer, could you do the invocation?
Yes, thank you, President. Please stand and join me in the Lord's Prayer and the Pledge of Allegiance.
Yes.
Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven.
Give us the good.
And forgive us our trespasses,
As we
forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not
into temptation, power, and the glory of God.
for thine is the kingdom and the power and the glory forever.
Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America.
And to the republic
Distinguished and stands one nation under God, indivisible, liberty,
and on board.
justice.
We're all.
Thank you, Councilwoman Kramer. Madam Clerk, are the minutes of the previous meeting transcribed and open for public viewing?
At this point, no, they are not, because like I said, the digital recorder has died. But I've noticed something on our conference call tonight that we are recording as far as my computer. So I will research this tomorrow also and see if I can go back and get a recording of the 2 previous meetings that we had via teleconference.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Board number 5 on the agenda where the citizens may speak on any topic that does appear on tonight's agenda. If you wish to do so, clearly speak your name, address, topic you wish to discuss, and please limit your comments to 3 minutes. And if you could speak very clearly for Diane, so if she has to transcribe these, we'll be able to. And do one at a time. So if you hear someone talking, please back off until they're finished. Thank you. Nobody? Okay. Number 6, new and miscellaneous business. Does anyone have any? All right, moving on to introduction of ordinances and resolutions. Ordinance number 41, 2020.
An ordinance adopting the recommendations of the Massillon Tax Incentive Review Committee, the TIRC, with regard to the renewal and termination of Massillon Enterprise Zone EZ project.
Councilwoman Starrett.
Thank you, Madam President. This is something that we review every year, having to do with the tax enterprise zones. There's only one this year on the list, and that is for Quest Automotive Products. It is recommended that we renew this project. Are there any questions or concerns about this? Hearing none, I make a motion that we waive the rules requiring 3 readings and bring ordinance number 41-2024.
Seconded by
Lewis.
Ed Lewis. Roll call. For suspension.
Yeah, hold on. Okay. Kramer.
Yes.
Gregg.
Yes.
Halter. Hernkane.
Yes.
Lewis.
Yes.
Littman.
Yes.
Lombardi.
Yes.
Starrett.
Yes.
And Barrett.
Yes.
9 yes for suspension.
And for passage.
Gregg.
Yes.
Halter.
Yeah.
Hernkane.
Yes.
Lewis.
Yes.
Littman.
Yes.
Lombardi.
Yes.
Starrett.
Yes.
Barrett.
Yes.
And Kramer.
Yes.
9 yes for passage.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Ordinance number 41, 2020 has passed. Ordinance number 42, 2020.
An ordinance approving an application for assistance under Title I of the Housing and Community Development, including the Consolidated Plan and Annual Action Plan, authorizing the execution and filing of the application and related assurances and certification.
Councilman Starrett.
Thank you, Madam President. First reading on this.
I'm sorry, first reading?
Yes.
Thank you. Ordinance number.
Madam
42,
President?
Yes.
This is Mr. Hernkane.
Yes.
I would just like to note for the record that I'm going to abstain from discussing and voting in this matter. My father is a independent contracted consultant on a part-time basis for one of the sub-recipients that we are awarding funds to. So throughout however many readings this takes, I just want to put on the record that I will abstain.
Thank you for your input.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Okay, ordinance number 42, 2020 has received first reading. Ordinance number 43, 2020.
An ordinance authorizing the mayor of the city of Masson, Ohio, and the Masson Police Department to enter into a memorandum of understanding, an MOU, with all agencies participating in the current transportation agreement and declaring an emergency.
Councilman Littman.
Thank you, Madam President. Yes, this was a request for legislation by Keith Mosier, our chief, and it was our request that also had a memorandum of understanding that needed to have an amendment that is based on an executive order in 2018 that it was issued by Governor Kasich, and it's my understanding that there is Section 3 of our transportation agreement that is amended based on, I believe, a fee of $20 for each individual that is processed. So I will ask if there's any questions. We do have Chief Moser on the line with us. So if there are any questions, perhaps he would be willing to answer them for us. Seeing none, then I will ask that we waive the rules requiring 3 readings and ask this to be voted on this evening.
Seconded by?
Jim Perry.
Thank you, Councilman Barrett. Roll call for suspension. Halter? Yes. Bernkay?
Yes.
Lewis,
Yes.
Littman,
Yes?
Lombardi,
Yes.
Garrett,
Yes.
Barrett,
Yes.
Creamer,
Yes.
and Gregg.
Yes.
9 yes for suspension.
10 for passage.
Bernkay,
Yes.
Lewis,
Yes.
Littman,
Yes?
Lombardi,
Yes.
Garrett,
Yes.
Garrett,
Yes.
Creamer,
Yes.
Gregg,
Yes.
and Halter. 9 yes for passage.
Thanks, Madam Clerk. Ordinance number 43, 2020 has passed. Ordinance number 44, 2020.
An ordinance authorizing the Director of Public Service and Safety of the City of Massillon, Ohio, to enter into an agreement with Stark County for the purchase of salt for City Street for the 2020-2021 season and possible extension for the 21-22 season from the cooperative program.
Councilman Barrett?
Thank you, Madam President. My only question right now is, would probably be for the mayor and director. If they want to, pursue this right now, or do you want to just give it first reading, considering the budget issues that are probably going to be, in front of us here?
I can answer that. Go ahead. Okay. I was just gonna say, this is just to go into the agreement with Stark County, the cooperative purchasing plan. And what they do is they reach out to all of the cities and townships, every entity, and the more that join, the better pricing that we do get. So at this point, this is not to get the pricing, this is just to join a group to go out to ask for pricing as a group effort to get better pricing for everyone.
Thank you. So if,
You're welcome.
if that's all it is, and we're not committing to anything other than joining the group right now, need to go ahead and approve this tonight. Would it be better for us to get in early?
It's entirely up to you if you want to go ahead and do it at this point in time. We did put the legislation together very early. We do have until actually July 31st. So if you do want to go through further reading, or have any other discussions, that's fine. It's entirely up to you.
Let me put it forward. Is there anyone who has any questions or concerns at this point?
I do. Councilman Littman?
Yes, I don't have any questions.
I'm sorry, I thought you said you did. Councilman Lewis, is that you?
I did, and I think the other one was Creamer as well.
Okay.
But I will say, this does have a commitment to it, I believe, and that is when we enter into this agreement, we are agreeing to, I believe, 80% of our estimated need, I believe. So there's a commitment. I'm still in favor of it regardless, but I just want to make sure that we accurately represent that.
Councilman Kramer?
I just have a question for the Safety Service Director. Do you know how many participants are, going into this co-op purchase? Is it all Stark County? Is it just portions of Stark County, townships and municipalities?
Again, this is something that they've been doing for quite a few years, and right now it's all of Stark County, Holmes County, and Carroll County. And from the listing that I see, it looks like most all entities are a part of it.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Madam President, I have a comment.
Mr. Gregg, go ahead.
As I mentioned before, I am not opposed to joining the cooperative to get good pricing on salt, but I would like for us as a city to look at decreasing the amount of salt we use on our streets. And I've taken, Mr. Lewis's point is well taken that if we get into this, it commits us to 80% of our past usage, I believe. So I would personally like to see more discussion on this, especially since we're not in any rush.
Councilman Parrott?
That's great. I have no problem with that. Let's give this first reading tonight, okay?
Thank you. Ordinance number 44, 2020 has received first reading. Ordinance number 45, 2020.
An ordinance authorizing the Director of Public Service and Safety of the City of Massillon, Ohio, to enter into a one-year contract between the City of Massillon, Ohio, and the Board of Stark County Commissioners for the housing of City of Massillon, Ohio, codified ordinance prisoners at the Stark County Jail, and declaring an emergency.
Councilman Lewis?
Yes, this is our agreement as discussed with the county. How's our agreement of the city ordinances? Any questions or discussion this evening? Hearing none, I make a motion that we suspend the rules requiring the reading ordinance number 45.
Seconded by
Barrett,
Councilman Scarrett. Roll call for suspension.
Lewis,
Yes.
Littman,
Yes.
Marty,
Yes.
Jarrett,
yes.
Barrett,
Yes.
Kramer,
Yes.
Gregg,
Yes.
Alter,
Yes.
and Hernkane.
Yes.
9 yes for suspension.
And for passage.
Littman,
Yes.
Lombardi,
Yes.
Jarrett,
Yes.
Barrett,
Yes.
Kramer,
Yes.
Gregg,
Yes.
Alter,
Yes.
Hernkane,
Yes.
and Lewis.
Yes.
9 yes for passage.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Ordinance number 45, 2020 is passed. Ordinance number 46, 2020.
An ordinance making certain appropriations from the unappropriated balance of the 1203 Community Development Fund for the Target Street Improvement Project for the year ending December 31st, 2020, and declaring an emergency.
Councilman Lewis?
Yes, this ordinance will take $8,599.20 and place it specifically for Target Street improvements. Are there any questions or discussion this evening?
I have a question.
Go ahead.
Are we actually taking bids and being able to move forward on this?
That I would assume would be for the mayor or the safety service director.
Sam, this is your portion here. Yes, the Target Street bidding was already completed. That's all been done and approved by council. The appropriation is just to align my HUD funds and the city funds, the difference. But you guys have already reviewed and approved the bidding for that contract.
Anyone else? Councilman Lewis?
Yes, I make a motion that we suspend the rules requiring 3 readings, bring ordinance number 46-2020 forward for a vote.
Seconded by
Greg?
Councilman Gregg. Motion, a roll call for suspension.
Lombardi,
Yes.
Barrett? Yes. Barrett,
Yes.
Creamer,
Yes.
Gregg,
Yes.
Alter, Hurricane,
Yes.
Lewis,
Yes.
and Littman.
Yes.
9 yes, 4 suspension.
And for passage.
Barrett? Yes. Barrett,
Yes.
Creamer,
Yes.
Gregg,
Yes.
Alter. Yes. Hurricane,
Yes.
Lewis,
Yes.
Littman,
Yes.
and Lombardi.
Yes.
9 yes, 4 passage.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Ordinance number 46-2020 has passed. Ordinance number 47-2020.
An ordinance making certain transfers in the 2020 appropriations from within the 1201 Street Construction Fund for the year ending December 31st, 2020, and declaring an emergency.
Councilman Lewis.
Yes, we are in this taking $5,500 out of the refunds for income tax and placing it into the revenue sharing to meet our obligations. Are there any discussion or questions this evening? Hearing none, I make a motion that we suspend the rules requiring 3 readings, bringing ordinance number 47-2020 forward for a vote.
Second.
Greg?
Councilman Gregg, roll call for suspension.
Barrett?
Yes.
Yes.
Creamer?
Sorry.
Gregg?
Yes.
Alter?
Yes.
Hurricane?
Yes.
Lewis?
Yes.
Littman?
Yes.
Lombardi?
Yes.
And Barrett? Yes. 9 yes, 4 suspension.
And for passage.
Creamer?
Yes.
Gregg?
Yes.
Alter?
Yes.
Hurricane?
Yes.
Lewis?
Yes.
Littman?
Yes.
Lombardi?
Yes.
Barrett? Yes. Barrett?
Yes.
9 yes, 4 passage.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Ordinance number 47-2020 has passed. Madam Clerk, is there any unfinished business?
No, there is not.
Are there any petitions and general communications?
No, there are not.
Are there any bills, accounts, and claims?
Yes, we have a bill in the amount of $900.80 for the publication of our February ordinance.
Councilman Lewis?
I make a motion that we pay the bills.
Second.
Barrett?
Second by Councilman Scarrett. Roll call.
Gregg?
Yes.
Alter? Hurricane?
Yes. Yes.
Hey, Dave.
What?
Council meeting.
Oh, sorry. Yes.
Lombardi,
Yes.
Starrett,
Yes.
Barrett,
Yes.
and Creamer.
Yes.
9 yes to pay the bill.
Thank you. The bills we paid, and the clerk will charge them to their proper accounts. Are there any reports of city officials?
Have the auditor's report for March of 2020.
Councilman Lewis,
I'd like to make a motion that we receive the auditor's report.
seconded by
Linda Littman.
Starrett.
Councilman Starrett. Roll call.
Halter. Ern Kane.
Yes.
Lewis.
Yes.
Littman.
Yes.
Lombardi.
Yes.
Starrett.
Yes.
Barrett.
Yes.
Creamer.
Yes.
And Gregg.
Yes.
9 yes to accept the auditor's report.
Thank you. The auditor's report has been accepted. Reports of committees. Our next work session is next Monday at 6:30, and prior to that, there's a police and fire committee meeting at 5:30, and the date on that is going to be the 27th. Anything else from anyone?
Madam President,
Yes, Councilman Littman.
I wanted to make sure that we had extended invitations through Diane to the chief of police as well as a representative from the sheriff's office. I'd also ask that if the administration wanted to include the Humane Society and Stark Park Wildlife Center, that an invitation be extended to them as well. I had not heard if that had been completed, and if so, who was going to be in attendance or had confirmed to be in attendance.
Diane, can you answer that?
Yes, Councilwoman Starrett, I will be making those confirmations tomorrow, and we'll give you an update via email or phone call.
This is Linda Littman who asked that question.
I'm sorry, I mean Linda.
That's okay. Diane, I also want to make sure that for our police and fire committee meeting, that each attendee have two items, one being the overview of the Stark County Sheriff Dog Warden Division that was provided previously, as well as the ordinances from 505.01 to 505.99. Those are the ordinances that pertain to this subject matter that are already on our book. So I'd like to make sure that each one of the, at least council members that are wanting to participate in that meeting, that they have each one of those items prior to that meeting if possible.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Number 13, resolutions and requests of council members. At this point, since there are no third reading ordinances or second reading ordinances, I would like to ask the mayor to give us an update of what's going on in the city.
Good evening, Madam President, members of council. As many of you probably watched the governor today, he did make an announcement that the remainder of the school year will be through remote learning. And of course, last week he made an announcement that we're going to start to open up the government and the cities again. And that will be effective May 1st at 11:59, where that former act will expire. And so May 4th, we are preparing to have the majority of our staff report back or continue to work remotely. And so Barb and I have been very busy working with each department to make sure that it has new safety standards and practices placed into each department, and it must be specific per the department, because each department, as you know, is different. We will continue to keep our buildings locked down in the city government on Lincoln Way. Anybody that needs to get to the engineer's office, we've installed a new envelope window where they can utilize that. We're preparing to really make these environments very safe and have new practices as far as cleanliness. All staff members will be required, mandatory, to wear a mask when they are in the same area as another employee. If they're 6 feet apart, it's not going to be necessary, but if they are going to be working closer together or in a office area, they will be required to wear that mask. And so we're excited to bring people back, but we're also being very cautious. If they have stated that the curves will be changing as we go through this, so you'll see an uptick, and then it'll also decrease. We are going to watch that very closely, and we'll follow the governor's orders as he deems necessary.
Are you finished, Kathy?
I am. If there are any questions.
I have one. This is Jim Barrett.
Go ahead.
Thank you, Madam President and Mayor. For the time being, is the street crews, the road crews, doing any even pothole patching or anything like that in areas?
They've come out. Barb, you go right ahead, Barb. I guess I can answer that because, again, any calls that we do receive at our office, any calls that the police department does dispatch out, I'm aware of. So as we stated all along, if there is anything that is a danger to our community, we do call the street department out and the safety department out. For instance, traffic lights that are out, wind and storm damage. If there is an area where a patching pothole has popped out, for instance, on 21 is a higher speed road and higher traffic volume, then we will call persons out to repair those. Also, stop signs. We've had a few stop signs that have been hit, have to be repaired, or were damaged from the windstorm.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Anyone else? Hearing none. As I said, there's nothing on the call or calendar, no third reading ordinances, no second reading ordinances. We're at the point of the agenda, number 17, where the public can speak on any topic that did not appear on tonight's agenda. If you wish to do so, please state your name, address, topic you wish to discuss, and please limit your comments to 3 minutes. And I know that we have someone out there from Michigan that would like to speak.
Yes, ma'am. Yeah, this is Petty Officer Third Class Michael Anthony Mitchell, U.S. Navy retired, Lebanon, class of 82, Maslin. And I've come down to watch our Maslin Tigers play the past couple of years, and they had a great year, and I was happy about that. And I'm supposed to be coming down on May 1st with my U-Haul truck, and I just wanted to know, will I be stopped at the border? Because Michigan's the third highest in the U.S. for COVID, but since I have a clean bill of health and my driver, and that, do they still stop us before we go on the turnpike, you know? And in Maslin, will everything be back pretty much up to, or almost up as far as restaurants go, so we can come and eat inside, or because I'll be staying at the Hampton Inn?
Well, first of all, this is the mayor. I'd like to thank you for your service.
Yes, I talked to you. I talked to you, ma'am, in person a long time, a couple of years ago. I don't know if you remember me, from Gratiot Integrated Health in Alma, Michigan. Mental health board I'm on.
Okay, I don't remember you, but I'm sure if I saw your face, I would.
Yeah.
I do know that our governor is, if you come over, I believe he's having you quarantined for 14 days. So I would check with the Department of Health or even call our health department to confirm that before you come. I'd hate to see you come and then you have to quarantine for 14 days before you can do anything. So I can give you that number.
Yeah. Because I'm
call.
only going to be there. I'm only planning to be in Mathis for like 2-3 days, and that's it. Then I've got to go back home. But I have a reservation with U-Haul to come down there with my stuff, and that's why I wanted to clarify that, because I'm in the dark. I heard it's supposed to be up and running May 1st, but he hasn't made an official word yet.
I'm not sure if you're going to extend that 14-day quarantine. Barb, do you have Terry's number handy?
If you go, he had gone out on our website. If you go out on our website, all of the COVID-19 information that we put out there is current. We actually have an incident command plan right now that's in place for our city, since we are under the National Incident Management Emergency System. And so if you go out there, you will see any and all of the numbers to call for our health department, depending on the different questions that you have.
Yeah, I called them and left a message, so I just wanted to clarify, though, because does that mean they arrest you and put you in jail for 14 days? I'm just kind of in the dark.
No, they just make you have to stay in wherever you're staying for 14 days. I think you need to clarify, though, before you travel to the city. I would continue to watch our governor. He's on ohiochannel.org, and they may be changing things this week as we go through this process. Okay?
Yeah, because I'll have to change my reservation if I have to, but I'm planning to come down there because I'm moving down there permanently, leaving Michigan, and I got robbed at gunpoint in Detroit and beat up by some criminals, strong arm robbery, city bus stop, and then my state pulled my driver's license indefinitely for mental condition. That's what they say, and I could have got them in a lot of trouble because my disability is service related, and state screwed me over. Michigan did. I want to get out of the state. I'm tired of it. I've been here over 15 years, and Ohio's my home state. That's where I was born. That's where I went to school and went into the Navy. So that's what I wanted to say tonight.
Again, let me repeat that we appreciate your service. Go ahead, Mayor. I just wanted to say that again. We appreciate your service to our country, and we'd love to welcome you back, but we want to do it so that you're not wasting dollars and time. So I definitely would check in with Terry Argent or the Department of Health for the state of Ohio.
Okay, can you give me that number, though? The Department of Health number, like the
it's on our website as well.
Yeah, I can't get on. I can't get on the website because our stupid libraries are closed up here, thanks to our governor, and that's the only way I can get online is at the library. That's why I wanted that number to give it to me.
I've got it for you. I've got your number for you. It's 1-833-427-5634. That's
okay.
the Ohio Department of Health.
Okay. All right. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. Is there anyone else that would like to speak tonight?
Madam President, this is Linda Littman.
Yes, Councilman Littman.
I just wanted to ask, I know in our last meeting we had talked about exploring other technical options for our teleconference meetings and our Uber conferencing meetings. I didn't know if Diane had any information to report due to this venue having a limited number of video blocks that can be used.
I'm glad you brought that up because at my end, this is the first time I couldn't get into the video. And on my screen, I can't see Lewis, I can't see Halter, I can't see Hurricane, and I don't see my name up there, and I know we're all on. So I agree. I'm not a fan of this right now as it stands because it doesn't seem to be working as good as it should be.
I also wanted to mention that I know if Diane has done some research, I certainly appreciate that. But I also wanted to tell you that I had a conversation with a Canton City Council member, and they are looking at even purchasing some upgraded technology with the understanding that it's likely that we could be for some time having meetings in this fashion, but also if the pandemic would get better and then get worse again, come in waves, that we would be already set up for this type of thing in the future if we should need to do so. So she wants to have a conversation with what their and see what options they are looking at. That way we have someone else who is looking at the other technology as well.
Okay,
And if you want to Diane speaking.
may I speak, Claudette?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay. I did research the Uber conference website, and you're allowed up to 10 visitors or callers for free. And if you wanted to subscribe to their service for $15.99 a month, you're allowed up to 100 calls. And I had suggested to Claudette, I didn't know if this was something that council would want to be responsible for, or the administration, or be a joint venture. I don't know. But I don't know how long this is going to go on either as far as the pandemic. But you have to realize that we just spent a bunch of money installing a new system right here in our council chambers. So if there's some way that we could utilize our council chambers and go along with the safety guidelines, if we have to install plexiglass between council and any public, those are some options that we might want to think about also. Because as I said, we just invested a lot of money, and it hasn't been 4 years ago that we invested in this new system that we already have in place in chambers. So that might be something else that we can research as well as because the equipment that we purchased right now is just sitting idle.
Linda, those 100 visitors are not all video. They're just by phone.
Okay. Well, I think it would be beneficial to at least work with or have a conversation with the council clerk in Canton to see maybe what options they're looking at rather than kind of recreating the wheel. If they're looking at something that we may not be aware of, that we could look into as well. Or I would say if anyone else has any other options or suggestions for the advancement of some type of technology that would allow us to be able to have this type of video conferencing, please speak up.
Well,
Yes.
I mean, all the platforms pretty much run like this one. We use WebEx at my day job. I believe the pricing might be actually a little bit pricier than Uber meetings. Zoom, which we're not using, but to purchase unit comparison is about $15 a month. And then the other unit is escaping me. But it's only going to be $200 or less to get a year's worth of service through one of these. It's not a big expense to have, so increasing the amount of video, though? That would be my only question. It sounds like it should increase the number of video participants, because it is weird that they only allow 10.
Yeah, I thought Diane told me that it was still 10, but there was up to 100 callers.
I would double check that.
Is that right, Diane?
I don't think there's a limit now, is there? We have 18 people in attendance tonight.
But you only have 9 on video.
I only see that there would be 5 on video.
Well, my screen, I see 8.
I see 8
Yeah,
as
there's
well.
8 of us in video.
Yeah, there's 8 on video.
Who's on video?
Ed Lewis, Ted Hernkane, Mark Lombardi, Jim Starrett, Linda Littman, Megan Starrett, Jill Creamer, and Mike Gregg. And the
Okay,
rest
I don't.
coming up as your name or your
Yeah.
wire caller or whatever.
Okay, I don't even see Ed Lewis up there anyplace.
You just have to scroll your screen to see people.
I'm scrolling and I don't see it.
Mhm.
I don't know why it's not going up to the top.
Well, while we're concerned
This is
about
Mark Lombardi.
Go ahead, Mark.
Thank you. This system over conference, this is the first time I've ever been able to had an opportunity to use it. For me, it's very laggy. So basically, I say something and it doesn't seem to get to any almost 10 seconds and the same back. I see people, I see their lips move. I don't hear their answers back, or I see everything freeze up for a second. It also, it just seems to lack in control for the moderator, because anytime somebody who's on the line starts making a bunch of background noise, it cuts out the person who's actually speaking, makes it very difficult to follow the speaking. WebEx and Zoom, they're much better handling these types of groups.
Anyone else? Okay, if you could maybe look into that and maybe we could discuss it again on Monday.
Madam President, I have one more item.
Go ahead.
This is Linda Littman. I just wanted to suggest to Mr. Lombardi, he had asked if he could have a visitor at our police and fire committee meeting for next week. And I'd like to ask him if we could have Mr. Reiser, if he wants to come and speak to council, that he comes to the public speak at the actual work session. I think we're going to have an hour for our committee meeting, and I guess I'd like to have that be more of an education subject matter, where the police can tell us, how they're handling these kinds of issues, the representative from the sheriff's department, and if the other organizations are going to be there as well. Basically, just trying to collect information. I think with a situational experience that he's had that he'd like to share, I think that's more appropriate at the actual work session where we have the public speak. Would that be okay with the rest of the police and fire committee?
That's fine as far as I'm concerned. I told
Councilman Barrett, is that all right with you as well?
Yes, that's fine with me.
Okay, thank you.
All right, any other people from the community want to speak? Hearing none, Councilman Kramer. Oh, go ahead, I'm sorry.
Madam President, this is Justin Richard, Law Director. I was asked to I didn't know at which point you'd like me to speak briefly on the Sunshine Law.
This would be great.
Okay. Then I'm just going to give a brief overview, but I am going to touch on a couple of things that are probably most important for the elected council members. The first thing, we just say sunshine laws, but that's a broad term. What it really refers to is the Ohio Public Records Act and the Ohio Open Meetings Act. And the Ohio Public Records Act was built on the United States historical principle that records of the government are the people's records. That's based on a Supreme Court case, Patterson versus Ayers. Public Records Act provides citizens with steps in order to request records from public office in Ohio while protecting certain specific types of records from release. It also establishes a legal process to enforce compliance when the requester feels that a public office has failed to satisfy its public records obligation. That's all codified under ORC Chapter 149. Additionally, the Open Meetings Act is, find my notes here. The Open Meetings Act requires public bodies in Ohio to conduct all public meetings and open meetings that the public may attend and observe. This means that if a public body is meeting to discuss and vote on otherwise decide public business, the meeting must be open to the public. That's all located in ORC 121. Specifically, probably the most important takeaway from all of this is that all public officials are required to take this training during their term. Let me see here. All elected officials in the state of Ohio or their appropriate designees are required to attend training approved by the Attorney General once per elected term. Ohio Revised Code ORC Section 10943. The purpose of this training is to ensure that all employees of public offices are appropriately educated about their obligations under the Public Records Act. This training is intended to enhance officials' knowledge of their duty to provide access to public records and to provide guidance in updating their office's public records policies and open meetings. As required by the Ohio Revised Code, the Attorney General develops, provides, and certifies public records training programs and seminars, but because of COVID, all of those live ones are done. They were supposed to be one this month and one next month. However, let's see here. There are a schedule of future online ones that I can give you the web address, but you can also take the entire training online, which probably seems more germane to our situation right now at your own pace. And if you'd like to grab a pen, I will read everybody that website so you can write it down if you want to take it at home, if you haven't already taken it. It is https://sunshine-law, all one word, ohioattorneygeneral.gov/. And then the state auditor, once you complete that and you give your identification, the state auditor will then keep that record of your attendance and your completion of that program for your elected period of time. Briefly, I want to get into, there's been some, I know communication.
Justin, can you repeat that, please? I'm sorry, the website.
Absolutely. It is https://sunshine-law.ohioattorneygeneral.gov.
Thank you.
Now, I know that past couple of weeks there have been several communications with the law concerns or considers an unsolicited email, and from one member to all the other members, or at least what would consider a quorum in one of their particular committees. So I'm not going to get in tonight. Once everybody does it, if you have specific, once you do the training, if you have specific questions, please come and talk to me. I'd love to talk to you. But a meeting is not always, a meeting is defined as this. It's a prearranged gathering of a majority of the members of the public body who are discussing and deliberating public business. Now, that's obviously what we're having right now. the majority of the members of the public body, or all of them this evening. And we were discussing and deliberating and voting on public business. However, there have been times when the Ohio law and Supreme and appellate courts have held that a meeting can actually be constituted by emails. One email of one person saying, I believe there was one from Mr. Lombardi last week, just asking the majority of the members, would it be appropriate to have certain people attend? That one email in itself is an unsolicited email, so that is not. But unfortunately, it creates a very risky or troubling problem if individuals were then to, in a series or serial or reply to that, and we had a email chain, it could actually be considered to have a meeting, and that would be a meeting that the public nor the press were invited to, and thus would be in violation of that act. So I would caution everyone, certainly one-on-one communication. I've highlighted a couple of things that I'll read here. The Open Meetings Act governs prearranged discussion, but it does not prohibit unplanned encounters between members of public bodies, such as hallway discussion. One court has found that either an unsolicited and unexpected email sent from one board member to the other is a spontaneous one-on-one telephone conversation between two members of a five-member board was a prearranged meeting. Thus, it would not be a violation. And that was actually our 5th District Court of Appeals, which would be controlling if we were taking to court over this. However, the prearranged element does not require the parties to participate at the same time. In such a series of emails, like I explained, exchanged among the majority of board members, either of a committee or the whole, could constitute as a prearranged meeting. Even when the email started with one board member sending an unsolicited email to other board members, if others follow and then deliberate, discuss public business. In evaluating whether particular gatherings of public officials constitute meetings, our Court of Appeals has opined that the Open Meetings Act is intended to apply to those situations where there has been formal action taken, to wit, formal deliberations concerning the public business. Under this analysis, those courts have determined that gatherings strictly of an investigative and information-seeking nature do not involve actual discussion or deliberation of public business and are not meetings for the purpose of Open Meetings Act. More importantly, the Ohio Supreme Court has now ruled on whether investigative and informational gatherings are or are not meetings. So a lot of this, we have laws, and we certainly have a nice yellow book that's put out by the Ohio Attorney General, but a lot of this, as far as litigation, is not settled. So that's why we like to tread lightly on these areas. So I would just urge not to, if they can at all be avoided, to send signal emails, or if they do, please remember not to, if you're sending an unsolicited email to the other 8 members or what would constitute a quorum in your committee, I would not reply to that, because then we could be in violation. I'm not going to read the consequences, but no, there are. Ultimately, you could be removed from your elected position if it came down to a very egregious violation of these laws. But are there any questions?
I have 2 questions, Justin. This is Claudette Eisnick. Number 1, can we send the same email to everybody as long as they're individual emails?
Absolutely. That would be no more than an individual phone call. Now, know that back to the public records portion of it. Generally, you're not creating a public record if you're calling a person on the phone, a one-on-one telephone, or a message. Well, the message obviously would be a record. So then, once you've created a record, we do have retention schedules, which you would have to follow. So if you're creating an email, depending on our records retention policy for council, you would have to keep that email for the period of time that's required by the operating procedure. But yes, a one-on-one email would be the same. The courts look at it the same as that hallway conversation that they refer to.
And we can take the sunshine law training now.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Does anyone else have any questions for Justin?
Yes, I do. This is Mike Gregg.
Go ahead, Mike.
Thank you, Madam President. Mr. Richards, I think I heard you say, and I just want to confirm this, that sunshine law training is supposed to be taken by an elected official each time they're elected. Is that correct?
Yes.
And do you have how long do you have to do that? Your entire term, or is there a deadline on that?
There is not. The only thing that it really speaks to that I saw is if you're taking over a partial term, then essentially could be prorated. But obviously, the more you know earlier on, the better.
Okay, and the website that you gave us is the proper website to take that training for someone that's been reelected, correct?
Yes, sir. Well,
all right.
I guess I don't make a distinction between reelection, but just during your term, you are required to take that training.
All right. Thank you very much.
Madam President?
Anyone else? Yeah.
Madam
Go ahead,
President?
Mr. Lewis.
I believe how we've always heard it in the past, and I believe it was even said tonight, it's the elected official or appropriate designee. And historically, we've always sent our council clerk to the training, and that qualifies.
It may. I've not looked into that as far as the statutory definition of designee. I can definitely look into that. Hold on.
Could you do so and give us an answer Monday?
Sure. I'm probably pretty close right now, but yes, if we can deliberate or adjourn the meeting, and then I'll get an answer for that.
So, Ed, you're thinking we don't all have to take it as long as Diane takes it?
Yeah, I can, and I will leave the window open that it could have been done improperly, obviously, but in the past, newly elected people would take it for their own knowledge, and then the clerk took it every year as well. So those who had re-election did not, unless they chose to because they wanted to. That's purely just a historical perspective. It doesn't necessarily mean it was correct.
I can tell you this, Ed, if I may, Madam President.
Go ahead.
Because I said these things are often fluid, and there are new interpretations, and it's really crazy because you could go to a Cincinnati sunshine law, and the law that they give you is probably good for that district court of appeals, but could be different for ours. So because these things are often changing, I would just encourage everybody to take it. Certainly, I don't believe most of the trainings that I've gone to don't exceed an hour or two. So, just to give you that knowledge, I don't think it's a bad idea. But whether or not it's required, I can definitely look into how far they allow designee to be defined.
Madam President, this is Jim Garrett.
Go ahead.
There was a seminar in downtown Canton last winter before I took office, actually, I believe, it was over lunchtime. And it was about all these things. I'm assuming that this is what we were supposed to look for.
I don't really understand the question.
There was a couple lawyers, people from the law departments in Canton that reviewed, it sounds like everything you just talked about.
Okay, was it hosted by the Ohio Attorney General?
I can answer that question, Mr. Barrett. Call that. That was actually, I know what he was referencing, and that was actually an event hosted locally, and it stated on their advertisements that this would not qualify for any kind of credit towards requirements made forth by the state. So that was just an information that would not be considered the training.
But I still got to do it.
Okay, well, I'll look into that.
Justin, that was sponsored by the Stark Metropolitan Housing Authority. Attorney Corey Minor Smith was in charge of that. And it was during like a lunch hour. That's why I didn't bother to go to it. But if I can clarify something as far as the council clerk taking the training, I've never taken the Sunshine Law training. I printed out the 2017 Sunshine Law handbook, which is about 400 pages, and that was in 2017 when Mike DeWine was at that present time the Attorney General. But I have never attended any official Sunshine Law training. And I'm not an elected official. I am appointed. So if it states that the elected officials have to attend it and that it's a requirement, I would dispute that it go through the council clerk and then I pass the information on to the council members because they are the elected officials. I am not.
Madam President.
Yes.
Well, first off, I apologize. For any reason you would not have gone, but it says or appropriate doesn't mean. I think that's where that would come from. And I'm looking at an FAQ right now, which I believe speaks to it. I just don't know.
I got it. I have it, Ed, if I may speak. The act states that the designee may be a designee of one elected public official or all of the elected officials of a public office if the public office includes more than one elected official. It's under ORC 109.43 Alpha 1. The statute does not provide a definition of an appropriate designee, but the term implies an official or employee of the same public office with an appropriate connection to the training requirement.
Any other questions or comments? Hearing none. Go ahead.
This is Linda Littman. I just have a question for Diane. I wanted to make sure for our police and fire committee meeting next week that he would be on as the organizer, and then those of us who wanted to attend be able to do the same thing we did on with Uber Conference today, rather than myself being the organizer.
Diane? Hello?
She's muted if she's trying to talk.
Oh.
Tell her to press star.
Okay. I would suggest that you contact Anita Combs on that since she is the organizer. She's the one that got all this together. Because even when I log on for this meeting, it comes up Anita's information. And I just go in with that. So if you want to be designated as the organizer of the fire.
I do not want to be. I mean, I think that if we can go in the same way that we're with this as perhaps someone else might be, and if we can do the same thing that we're doing right now with, you guys being the organizer or designated as the organizer, then we can all just be participants.
Okay.
In the committee meeting as well.
Okay.
Okay.
Anyone else? Councilman Creamer?
I make the motion to adjourn.
Seconded by?
Linda Littman.
Meeting adjourned.